Okay, if you've ever been around a teenager, you know the look. That epic eye roll, the one-word answer, the sudden emotional tornado over something that seems, well, tiny. It is baffling, and honestly, it can be super frustrating. But what if there was a user's guide to what's going on in their head? Let's get into it, because the answer has a lot more to do with biology than it does with attitude.
And this right here, this is the whole key. It's a total game changer of a perspective. It shifts us from feeling personally attacked by their behavior to, understanding a natural, if a little chaotic, process. This is the big idea we're going to unpack today.
You know exactly what this feels like, right? You ask a simple question, "How is your day?" and you get a sigh that could power a small village. You try to connect, and suddenly there's a wall. It is so easy to see all of this as just pure disrespect, like they're trying to push your buttons on purpose.
But if it's not just attitude, then what is it? What's happening behind the curtain that's triggering these huge reactions? And that question is what pulls us out of the heat of the moment and into the really fascinating world of what's happening inside their brain.
Yep, you heard that right. The teenage brain is quite literally a construction zone. All the stuff we're seeing on the outside, the moodiness, the impulsive decisions, it's a direct reflection of a massive neurological renovation happening on the inside.
Okay, so this slide breaks it all down perfectly. I want you to think of the brain like a car. You've got the amygdala, which is the emotion center. In a teenager, this thing is like a supercharged V8 engine. It's highly active, it's powerful, and it's fueling these really intense, quick reactions. But then you have the prefrontal cortex, the brain's CEO. This is the brake system. It handles impulse control, thinking about consequences, and in a teenager, well, those brakes are still being installed.
So here's the bottom line. You have a high-performance engine with really weak brakes. It's an imbalance, and it means that raw, intense emotion is almost always going to win the race against rational thought. It's not that they don't want to be logical, it's just that their brain is neurologically wired to feel first and think second.
But this whole brain under construction thing is only one piece of the puzzle. It's happening right in the middle of a perfect storm of other developmental changes, which explains why the reactions can feel so huge.
So on top of all that brain rewiring, you have this flood of new hormones surging through their body. You have the intense social pressure from their friends. They're also doing the huge internal work of figuring out, who am I? And of course, there's the constant buzz and ping from their phones. Each one of these things is like an amplifier, just turning up the volume on that already powerful emotional engine. And this quote, it just nails it, doesn't it? When you find yourself in the middle of some drama, remembering this can be your lifeline. It completely reframes the situation. They're not some enemy you have to defeat. They're a person who is just navigating this incredibly complex and often really overwhelming biological process.
Okay, so we get the why. Now what in the world do we do about it? Well, this is not about giving up or letting things slide. It's about getting smarter. This is where we shift from just explaining the problem to laying out a real, actionable strategy. We're going to move from fighting against their behavior to guiding them through it.
And let's be super clear about this. Understanding the biology is not a get-out-of-jail-free card for bad behavior. The standards for kindness, for respect, those absolutely stay the same. What changes is our method. We're swapping out those emotional reactive tactics for a much smarter approach that actually helps them develop.
All right, here's the game plan. It's 3 simple steps. First, when things get heated, you got to remind yourself, this is the construction zone, not the finished building. See the biology. Second, you have to resist the urge to match their emotional intensity. Their engine is redlining. If you redline yours too, you just get a bigger crash. And third, respond with calm structure. That means clear boundaries, predictable consequences, all delivered without the anger and the yelling.
When you do this, your whole role changes. You stop being the firefighter who's constantly running around putting out emotional blazes. Instead, you become more like a construction site manager or a guide. You're there to provide the scaffolding and the blueprint they need to eventually build their own fully functioning brain.
So, how about we leave with a new definition? The next time you see that eye roll or hear a door slam, try to see it for what it truly is. That messy, chaotic, but totally necessary place where biology meets personal growth. It's not a personal insult. It's actually a developmental milestone.
This really changes everything, doesn't it? The moment you see yourself not as a soldier in a battle of wills, but as a guide for a brain under construction, your options just open up. Frustration can turn into strategy. Conflict can actually become a chance to connect. So the question I'll leave you with is this: how will you guide the construction?